Okay, let's get started with 1-point perspective. With 1-point perspective, you have to imagine that you're looking down a hallway. So this would be the floor here, this would be the wall to the right, to the left, and then this would be the ceiling. And then you have a singular vanishing point. In all these cases, we're just going to invent and make up where that vanishing point is. What I found is kind of nice is to have kind of a door frame or a wall on the back that acts as kind of a placeholder, a foundation, and then from there we can work with that vanishing point and really establish what is the main structure, which are the 4 lines that come out from that back wall. And we're going to get started with doing that. Then I'll talk to you about how to do some of the other little details that are there. So you want a fresh piece of paper from your sketchbook. So it's a little bit bigger than what we're going to work. And in all these cases, we're going to kind of work within the same size, and then we can actually utilize things outside of the frame and not worry about what's outside the frame. When you're first putting this down, you want to make sure that it lines up really well with the edges of your paper, that it's parallel and perpendicular to the paper. And for this one, we can just put it right in the middle of the paper. For some of the other ones, we may actually just put it to the side on purpose a little bit. And then I'll just trace around the outside of this. I said before, probably better to use your mechanical pencil than anything else. And that way, all your line work's gonna be pretty fine and pretty clean. The next thing to kind of establish is where this back frame or this back wall is gonna be. For the reference of size, this is just like a really mini sticky note pad. It's not a regular sticky note pad. It's maybe 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches. I'm gonna put that not right in the center. It's just not as interesting if it's in the center. And I'm not going to put it like, you know, too low or too high. I'll put it kind of at the medium height here, and I'll use that as my reference point for this back wall. I push mine pretty far to the left. And after you get that in, you may want to just kind of tighten that up a little bit, since I was using just that sticky note pad. Again, try to make sure that all your horizontals are parallel to the edge and all of your verticals are parallel to the other edge. So keep them horizontal and vertical as much as you possibly can. You'll notice as I work through here, I rotate the page a lot just in order to kind of get the best angle or approach that I can on that. So if this is going to be our back wall here, we're only going to work inside of this area. I now need to pick where I feel like the vanishing point is going to be. In real life, you would actually just trace your lines back, all those orthogonal lines that you're looking at in a hallway, and you would actually be able to find it. With what we're doing, we'll just kind of invent it, and I'll just put it right about here. Cool. And eventually I can erase this point. Okay, I'm happy that these are curved because I don't want people to think that the lines have to go to the corners. There is no corner in this. A big mistake people make is they'll take this and draw it to a corner and draw it to a corner. That's not what we're doing with this, because we're using this point at the bottom of this to establish the direction from here to here and then continue that line. Some people like to draw the line on the inside of this box. You can if you want, or you can just start and draw it from that outside edge. So right now I'm establishing what is the floor. So I'll go from this point here, line up the ruler from your vanishing point to the corner of this room, and I'm drawing what are called the orthogonal lines. There's the floor, if you can see, floor, back wall. And from here to here, again, don't try to find the corners of this. Those are not related to what we're doing. And then from here to the last one, this will help establish the ceiling and the side wall. Good. So now I've got like a basic structure down. It kind of looks like things are converging that way. If we want to, as we work, erase some of the softer lines or some of the lines that get covered up, good to have your eraser around to do that. A lot of times what I like to do with this back wall is put a door frame on it so that I know kind of what that is. Sometimes when I want to get started, I can just kind of sketch lightly where things might be and realize if they look good, then I can kind of go with that. And I like that. So I'm going to go ahead and put in like the top of the 2 doors. Again, everything needs to be horizontal or vertical or going to the vanishing point. So in this case, I'm just going to put like the little divider between what would be 2 doors in the hallway here and here. And again, these aren't having anything to do with that vanishing point because they're just vertical and horizontal lines. Now, if I want to do some work over here, maybe put in some windows like I have here, I'll talk to you about how to go ahead and do that now. If you look, these are going towards the vanishing point. They're orthogonal lines. And then the other lines are either vertical or horizontal. This is a pretty deep window that I put into these two. And you can see that the window height, it's actually the same line here. So it looks kind of nice like that. So we'll talk about how to do that now. First, I probably want to establish a height for where I want those windows. You could have them floor to ceiling. You could have them very small and high. It's really all up to you. So I will pick maybe just a spot here that I want the windows to start at. Maybe here. Okay, I've got that lined up with the vanishing point. So from there, I'm going to pull a real soft line out. Okay, might be able to see that there. And then I'm going to go vertical from this same point that I pulled up and establish what I want the height of that window to be. So I'll go to there. So that's the height of my window. Where I've decided that height's going to be, I'm going to take that point to the vanishing point and line my ruler up and then pull that out. And you can see my windows are actually going to hit so high that they're going to go off there. Now, if I want that window to have a divider in it, like I had here, you can see like a space in between, I can establish where that's going to be now. Again, I want that to still be vertical, so make sure it's parallel to the other ones. Maybe I'll establish that here. And then how thick do I want that to be? I'll pull that to there, so it's decently thick. Okay, at this point, there's now a line here that I don't need anymore. If that's going to be flush with the wall, so I'll go in and erase that. And I'll erase this one. So I have those two windows. Now they don't have any depth to them. They just look like they're windows that are flat on the surface. So I will go in and show you how to do that. So from this point here, I'm going to take a horizontal line out as thick as I want that window to be. So make sure that stays parallel to the other lines. Pop a horizontal line out. Where that horizontal line ends, I've got two things to do. I'm going to take that downward, vertical line down until it hits the bottom of the window there. That establishes that side. And then I'm going to turn it sideways here to do an orthogonal line on there. And I can actually use that same orthogonal line to establish here too. I'm not going to draw it quite as dark because I still need to establish the width of this one here. Cool. So in order to do that, I'm going to take the horizontal from this spot here, draw that back till it hits the orthogonal line that I just made there. I've got a little extra, so I'm going to erase that out. And then from there, bring that down again. Again, only three directions I can go: to the vanishing point, vertical or horizontal. My bottom line's a little light there, so I will just darken that in so you all can see it a little bit better. Cool. So now I've just kind of put in two big recessed windows over there. If I would establish maybe some tiles on the floor, we'll go ahead and do that next. As you work with this, get your basic structure set up, and then you can kind of play and experiment with that a little bit. This is a ruler that happens to have centimeters on one side. My box happens to be 5 centimeters wide. So I'm just going to put little lines here once every centimeter. That means I got 1, 2, 3, 4 little tick marks across the bottom here. And I'm going to do what I've done before. I'm going to take that point, go to the vanishing point from there, and extend that one down. Go to this little tick mark that I made. Again, I chose every centimeter because it kind of seemed to work. Draw that one down. If they go outside of the edge of this, it's okay, because we're going to kind of put a frame on the edge of this artwork. Okay, and then I've got one more here. And I can establish that going down like that. Cool, now it kind of looks like I've got lines on the floor. If you want them to end up being a grid and going across like this, you need to think that the spaces that are further away are going to be tighter, and the spaces that are this direction are going to open up. So if you wanted to grid the floor, I'll show you that. Keep these in the back side. We're going to keep them real close and tight. So it's going to look like a checkerboard floor. I'll pull this one down a little bit more. Pull this one down a little more than that one. Keep them all nice and parallel. Pull this one down a little further. Now it starts to look like it's really coming towards us. Cool. Kind of establish that. On this side, if I want to put a door frame in, if I want to put a hole in the ceiling and put some clouds in there, I can. If I want to put something in the hallway here, you're welcome to. You can also work up to drawing a couch, a piece of furniture, or something like that. This one, I feel like there's almost enough done to say that it's done. Maybe you could put a couple more items in. When you're finished with it, I want you to clean it up with your eraser. So if you've got a couple spots that you don't like, they don't look great, and then just put this back on the top and grab a Sharpie. Oh my goodness, I thought I had a Sharpie nearby. You want to hold this nice and firm on the top, and then just redraw that same edge that you had before. Just be real smooth and clean with it. And you just kind of framed out the whole thing. So that is 1 point perspective. And you're establishing a hallway. At the very end, probably just erase the vanishing point a little bit. It's not so obvious. All right, everybody. Thank you.